What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Saturday, June 7th, 2025, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now, it is 15:47 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from Europe and from the Middle East. So, last night, there was one of the biggest, if not the biggest, attack on the city of Kharkiv in Ukraine since the start of the Russian-Ukraine war. There were over 50 kabooms reported in downtown Kharkiv, and 2 days ago Russia launched a massive air attack on Ukraine involving more than 400 drones and over 40 missiles. Okay, and last night we had as many as 10 long-range, over-the-horizon nuclear war radars transmitting on multiple frequencies. Okay, so at least 10 nuclear war radars are active right now. And these could be NATO radars or Russian radars. I've never heard 10 radars active at one time. Typically it's like 2 or 3 radars at one time, and those typically get activated when Russia's getting ready to launch an airstrike. But we have now 10 over-the-horizon radars, and you can hear them on amateur radio. So this is very, very concerning. Somebody's concerned about missiles and potentially escalation. And Trump commented on the Ukraine drone strikes on the bombers in Russia, and he said they gave Putin a reason to go in and bomb the hell out of them. That's something I didn't like about it. So Trump criticizing Ukraine's Operation Spiderweb, which was the operation that took out 30% of Russia's nuclear bombers, guys. That is absolutely historic. And under Russia's nuclear war doctrine, they could potentially use nuclear weapons against Ukraine now to retaliate because Ukraine attacked their strategic nuclear forces, okay? And the Washington Post, citing intelligence sources, reported yesterday that Ukraine's Operation Spiderweb was just the beginning, and that the Ukrainian SBU and GUR, that's the Ukrainian Security Service and Military Intelligence Agency, are preparing for other large-scale special operations inside of Russia. Wow. Okay, so that was just the introduction, folks. There's going to be more of these. Okay, so the situation is escalating. And we have some very concerning news coming out of Germany. Germany will be building 1 million bomb shelters inside of tunnels, subway stations, underground garages, because new bunkers would be very expensive. The shelters will be created there. The head of the Federal Office of Civil Protection and Disaster Assistance said Germany must be prepared for a possible war. Due to growing conflicts in Europe, the head of Civil Protection wants to quickly create more shelters in Germany. New bunkers with very high protection requirements cost a lot of money and time. Ralph Tiesler, president of the Federal Office of Civil Protection and Disaster Assistance, BBK, told Süddeutsche Zeitung, "We need a faster solution. Therefore, we want to create bunkers inside of tunnels, subway stations, underground garages, and basements of public buildings. We will quickly create 1 million shelter spaces." According to the newspaper, the Civil Protection Agency's plans include allowing people to stay overnight in these public spaces if necessary. There will be food, restrooms, and perhaps even camp beds. Apps and signs will point people to the spaces. According to Tiesler, the agency plans to present a shelter concept in the summer. Apparently, they believe there's a risk of a major war of aggression against Europe. The plans are based on growing concerns that Russia could attack NATO territory in a few years. For a long time, there was a widespread belief in Germany that war was not a scenario we needed to prepare for, said Tiesler. That has changed. We are concerned about the risk of a major war of aggression in Europe. Given the planned expansion and other plans such as the modernization of the alarm system, the BBK president expects costs in the billions. The tasks in civil protection are enormous, emphasized Tiesler. We need at least 10 billion euros over the next 4 years. In the next decade, the need will be at least 30 billion euros. Wow, guys. So the head of Germany's Civil Defense Agency, Ralph Tiesler, saying that they're going to be building 1 million bunkers, bomb shelters, in tunnels, subways, underground garages, and it's going to cost billions of euros, okay? And they're going to start building them this summer. That is a huge red flag, okay? And we have some unrelated breaking news coming out of China. Apparently a new virus was found in China that's just a step away from causing a pandemic, according to scientists. A newly identified bat coronavirus, HKU5-CoV2, discovered in China is drawing global attention due to its potential to infect humans. Researchers warn that this virus is just a small mutation away from becoming highly infectious, similar to previous pandemic-causing viruses, the Daily Mail reported. HKU5-CoV2 is a novel coronavirus found in bats closely related to the Middle East respiratory syndrome MERS, which has a high fatality rate. This virus utilizes the ACE2 receptor to enter human cells, the same pathway used by SARS-CoV-2, the virus responsible for the C19. While HKU5-CoV2 currently infects only bat cells, laboratory studies indicate that a minor mutation in its spike protein could enable it to bind effectively to human cells. Wow. And NATO countries have approved the largest arms buildup since the Cold War. According to German media, according to the plan, the main priority areas are long-range weapons systems, air defense, and mobile ground forces. Individual NATO countries have been given clear instructions on what their contribution to collective deterrence and defense should be in the near future. And the Kremlin said on Friday that the Ukraine war was existential for Russia after it launched a wave of retaliatory drone and missile strikes that killed 3 rescue workers in Kyiv. For us, it is an existential issue, an issue on our national interest, safety on our future, and the future of our children, of our country, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters, responding to remarks by Trump on Thursday comparing Moscow and Kyiv to brawling children. Peskov's comments came shortly after the Russian Defense Ministry said its forces had launched the massive missile and drone strike in response to recent attacks by Kyiv on its territory. So the Kremlin is calling this an existential war. And what does that mean? It's not going to end anytime soon, and Russia will do everything necessary to make sure that they win, okay? Everything, including using nuclear weapons, weapons of mass destruction, and other means, okay? They will win at all costs. They don't care how many people they sacrifice, theirs and Ukrainians. They don't care, okay? And we're hearing from Ukrainian intelligence that next year Russia plans to occupy all of Ukraine east of the Dnieper River, as well as to seize the Odessa and Mykolaiv region, which will cut off Ukraine from the Black Sea. Okay, so Russia wants to take the entire eastern half of Ukraine, including Odessa and Mykolaiv. This has always been one of their big goals, was to take Odessa, okay? And I think they're going to try to do it, and they might even be successful, okay? Because the aid to Ukraine has really slowed down dramatically. And we're hearing that up to 125,000 Russian troops have concentrated near the borders of Sumy and Kharkiv. So it looks like Russia's going to try to take Sumy and Kharkiv. And we're also hearing that Kostiantynivka in eastern Ukraine will be one of the main initial targets of the Russian summer offensive. And Russia may launch a series of combined missile strikes on Ukraine in the coming days, according to various open source monitors, suggesting that it could happen within the next week. As soon as today, they're saying that as many as 18 Tu-95s are in position, 8 Tu-160s are in position, 36 Tu-22s, 6 Kinzhal hypersonic missile carriers, 7 carriers of caliber cruise missiles in the Black Sea, and in the Caspian Sea, 6 carriers of caliber cruise missiles. So that's a lot of bombers, guys, and 20 Iskander missile complexes. So we'll have to wait and see how this all unfolds, but I don't think the strikes we saw on Thursday and last night are the main event, okay? And Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Rybakov said the U.S. Golden Dome missile shield project is deeply destabilizing and creates insurmountable obstacles for arms control initiative. Rybakov said returning to the New START treaty is becoming less and less realistic. Wow, so Russia's not happy with Trump's Golden Dome initiative. And we're hearing that Russia just relocated 2 of their primary nuclear bombers, 2 Tu-160s, to Anadyr, which is just 600 kilometers from the U.S. up in Alaska. And around 30 telecom towers along Sweden's E22 highway have been deliberately sabotaged in recent weeks, with cables cut and equipment damaged, but nothing stolen. Police suspect the same actor is behind most of the incidents, and the Swedish National Security Service is monitoring the situation. So very interesting. Probably Russian saboteurs, Russian agents. And the White House is discussing the possibility of ending support for Ukraine due to Trump's dissatisfaction with the attacks on Russia's military airfields, okay, the bomber attacks. Trump also told aides that he does not believe in the possibility of a summit with Zelensky and Putin. And Trump said on June 5th that it might be best not to intervene in Russia's war against Ukraine for now. Speaking during a meeting with the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz at the White House, he said, "Sometimes you see 2 young children fighting like crazy. They hate each other and they're fighting in a park, and you try and pull them apart. They don't want to be pulled. Sometimes you're better off letting them fight for a while and then pulling them apart." Interesting. And we have some major breaking news coming in from the Middle East. Israel carried out 9 attack drills on Iran, and apparently they're now ready to strike Iran within 7 hours of the order from Netanyahu if there's a bad deal between the U.S. and Iran. So 9 drills, okay, practicing strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. Absolutely insane. And U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and his French counterpart affirmed their shared commitment to preventing Iran from developing or possessing a nuclear weapon. And Iranian intelligence has obtained thousands of sensitive documents related to Israel's nuclear facilities. The documents include video clips and documents related to Israeli nuclear facilities. This was reported by Tasnim news agency. So Iran has secret information on Israeli nuclear sites. So probably they would try to target Israel's nuclear sites in retaliation to any kind of Israeli strike on their nuclear sites. And U.S. soldiers have arrived in Panama for military exercises aimed at protecting the Panama Canal, the U.S. Embassy said, after a bilateral agreement triggered protests in the Central American country. The agreement, signed in April, allows U.S. troops to deploy around the canal but not to establish bases, according to the Panamanian authorities. The U.S. military will train alongside Panamanian security forces in forest operations. The U.S. Embassy said in a statement to AFP on Thursday, it said the entry of American troops for military exercises had to be approved by Panama. And Trump said he is not even thinking about Elon and won't speak to him for a while, and Trump is considering getting rid of his Tesla. Trump told ABC News Elon Musk is the man who lost his mind. He also said he is not particularly interested in talking to Musk, although he says Musk wants to talk to him. The Washington Post is reporting that Trump called Elon Musk a big-time drug addict in a phone call with someone else shortly after their public feud. And Trump also said, I don't want to fix my relationship with Elon. I think it's a shame that Elon's so depressed and so heartbroken. Elon was very disrespectful to the office. I think it's a very bad thing because he's very disrespectful. You could not disrespect the office of the president. Wow. And Trump terminated the federal Sky Marshal program that was put in place after 9/11. So we're not going to have armed undercover cops on planes anymore. And I wanted to just share some concerning flights with you. So yesterday we had a Russian doomsday plane fly to the Urals, and potentially this could have been Putin going to Mount Yamantu. That's where Russia has their massive doomsday bunker in the southern Urals. There was also a Russian ballistic missile tracking plane and nuke sniffer that flew into Belarus. Very interesting. An Ilyushin 76 Skip went to Belarus, which is a nuke sniffer plane that Russia uses. We also had 2 reconnaissance planes patrolling around Kaliningrad. Here you can see them looping around Kaliningrad. 2 at the same time is very unusual. We also had a Cobra Ball just east of Japan last night. That's a U.S. missile detecting plane, so potentially someone's going to be testing a missile somewhere in Asia soon. We also had a Chinese recon plane patrolling the Taiwan Strait. And then we had a Russian open skies recon plane and ballistic missile tracking plane that flew down to the Caucasus. This could be a sign that Russia's getting ready to launch a massive strike on Ukraine. They always move these planes down here right before they launch big strikes. And then we have some concerning news that Thailand and Cambodia are about to go to war. What you're looking at here is a massive buildup of Cambodian forces on the border of Thailand. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I might be back later on with more breaking news. Check out my Patreon so you can watch all these updates with no advertisements, just $3 a month. Patreon.com/NYPrepper. And until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere. And this update was sponsored by EMP Shield. Guys, EMP Shield has created a special discount just for you, the listeners of the NYPrepper channel. If you go to empshield.com and use the promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And why do you need an EMP Shield? Well, this is a special device to protect your vehicle, your RV, your solar generators, your radios from an electromagnetic pulse, which could be caused by a solar flare or potentially a rogue country like North Korea detonating an electromagnetic pulse weapon over the United States that's mounted onto a satellite. So protect your vehicles, protect your RV, protect your radios, protect your generators with an EMP Shield. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off. Installation is super simple. This is a veteran-owned business, 100% American-made, and the EMP Shields have been tested by the military, okay? And free shipping is included to the entire continental United States. And the link and the promo code are in the description below this video.